Studio 33 AD, Catholic Media.
Bishop Peter, my brother priests, deacon, and all gathered here, my brothers and sisters in the faith. Jeremiah cries out, "Terror on every side." He is the prophet that is most like Jesus in the Old Testament, because he had to suffer so much in his ministry of preaching to the people of Israel in the very difficult time of Babylonian exile. When Jeremiah was called, when he was still a very young man, he wanted to say to God, "I don't want the job that you are giving to me. I am too young, I don't know how to speak." But you know, when God decides something, it's decided. God said to him, "You are the one I want. I give you the strength to do the job that I'm calling you to perform. You will speak the truth to the people of Israel, and you have to be ready because you will encounter a lot of opposition." There is a very curious line in the first chapter of Jeremiah when he is called, when God tells him, "Do not be terrified on account of them, or I will terrify you before them." It's a very curious statement, isn't it? God says to him, if you become afraid of them, your fear will even increase. So he's telling Jeremiah, have courage. I will be with you in your ministry. Now, Jesus today tells us this very strong statement in the beginning of the gospel, fear no one. It's almost like a command from the Lord. Fear no one. And I think that perhaps many of us hearing this statement may be a little bit surprised. Because is it possible that we will never fear anybody in our life? I think that all of us at one point or another were scared or really terrified. Actually, since the time of original sin, fear is the constant companion of humanity. Adam and Eve, right after they ate from the tree, they hid in the bushes out of fear. They were afraid, they were hiding. I don't think that there are even people who are never afraid. Even Jesus himself, before his passion, sweated blood in the Garden of Gethsemane, thinking about the sufferings that await him. So what kind of fear is Jesus really talking about? Because I think that to have no fear at all would probably not be a right thing for us humans. Before, there are many things in life that quite naturally frighten us as human beings. If I was on a plane and witnessed the engine fell off, trust me, I would be very terrified. When a few years ago I was on a motorcycle trip and I was on Highway 10 between Texas and Louisiana, and the ladder fell off the truck in front of me and my friend, I got really scared. I thought it was the end. Miraculously, I was able to drive over the ladder. My motorcycle absorbed the hit, but when I stopped a mile later, because the traffic was so heavy, let me tell you, when the adrenaline hit, I was shaky. Like, what did just happen? Brothers and sisters, fear is a natural response to a danger that sometimes comes upon us. If you are asleep and you hear rumble downstairs, you come down and you see a robber in your house, you'll be terrified. There are so many things in life that make us scared. So I don't think that Jesus is talking about these natural responses to many events in life that happen to us that make us scared and terrified. I think what Jesus is talking about is that crippling anxiety and fear of irrational things that sometimes cripples us. Many times, many of us wake up in the middle of the night, turning from one side of the bed to another, worrying about the things that we would rather forget about. And we know deep down, I should not worry about that, and yet I am. It's like this thing, comes to us and never leaves. And it is at that time that we have to turn to the Lord and say, I don't want to worry about this thing because I know it is in your hands. You are in charge. And because I think that everything in this world that is broken by sin, that's what Paul told us about in the second reading, everything is transitory, everything is always and everywhere endangered, we are naturally frightened of the things that happen to us, health issues, relationships, and most of all, fear of losing the ones that we love. It's normal, it's part of our life. But Jesus tells us today, fear no one. Don't have anxiety in your heart. I am in your life and I watch over you. Don't worry too much. And there are three little things I want to tell you about in what I think Jesus wants to tell us. The first thing, and you know when you read the gospel to the end, when Jesus says, make sure that you witness to me in front of people. If you acknowledge me, I will acknowledge you. This is the fear that many people struggle with today. Fear of rubbing people the wrong way when we live our Christian life. Christians worry today, what are other people going to say about me when I live my discipleship radically, when I oppose some things in society that are against the gospel? This fear often cripples Christians from expressing our convictions. So much so that one person even told me, it's crazy, he said, I'm kind of scared to make the sign of the cross in the restaurant because I don't know what other people who dine around me are going to think about me. And I said to him, when you make the sign of the cross, those 5 places that you touch, it's like a drop of grace that drops down on all the other people who witness it. You're just giving witness to who you are as a Christian, that you love Jesus, that you are a person of faith. Why should you be afraid of doing that? Jesus really, when he says fear no one, Jesus says, fear no one as you witness to the love that you have for me. So that's the first point. The second one, I think, is that somebody once said, when we fear men so much because we fear God so little. And if I truly had the awe of God, I would not really be afraid of anybody. Only one loss is really to be feared in life, fear of losing God, of losing our eternal salvation. Whoever has God has everything. Just last couple of days ago, I celebrated daily Mass, the memorial of Saints John Fisher and Thomas More, the martyrs of the English Reformation. Gosh, they had the choice in front of them. Do I give in to the king who demands me to abandon my faith, or do I risk my life? Thomas More, I do not fear anybody. The only person I fear is God. And he put his life on the line. Many of the saints are teaching us that courage that only comes from God. And God is giving us this courage when we ask him for it. And finally, the third advice of Jesus, down in the gospel, you want to live in inner freedom and without fear? Then trust God. Your Father in heaven truly loves you. He has all your hair on your head counted. I love that image. You know that God knows exactly how many hair on your head you have today. Some of us, maybe not so many, but God knows. He knows. It's a beautiful image of the care of God. And the second image is about sparrows. God cares of these little useless creatures that are worth just almost nothing, how much more does he care for you? And if you realize it, if we could truly realize it in life, that I am in the hands of God 24/7, that God envelops me with his love, that he showers upon me all the time, then really the anxiety that I have, the fear that I have, I can toss it down in the garbage, because I know that God, who can do everything, is watching over me. I would like to end with, and this is very fitting, I think, this gospel for my last homily with you at St. John's Cathedral, the words of St. Teresa of Avila. And I'm going to take this with me as I go to the next parish. She said this: "Let nothing trouble you, let nothing frighten you. Everything passes, God never changes. Whoever has God wants for nothing. God alone is enough." And I think that's so true. God alone is enough.
Studio 33 AD, Catholic Media.